everyone, Kris White with the American Battlefield Trust, and I'm out here with Chris Bukowski behind the camera. And this is a quick bonus video for you as we're going along the campaign trail for the Vicksburg campaign. And we're standing along the Big Black River out here, which is the last natural or large natural defensive barrier to the east of Vicksburg. This waterway, which you can hear is very fast moving today, is one of those areas that is going to help to protect Vicksburg's eastern side. To get you oriented, off to my right, out towards farther east, you'll have Champion Hill. There's a battle that took place there on May 16th, 1863, and it's a Confederate disaster. What happens is the Union armies have moved across to Bruinsburg, have moved northeast, fought at Port Gibson, they've gone to Raymond, and they have fought at Champion Hill, on top of taking the state capital of Jackson, which is about 45 minutes off to my right if you're taking a car today. Now the Federals have doubled back and they're starting to march towards Vicksburg, and they have that battle at Champion Hill on May 16th. The next day, the Confederates are still out of their fortifications, with Vicksburg off to my left. They're still out of their fortifications and waiting William Wing Loring's division. In the midst of the Battle of Champion Hill, Loring's division, Loring, a one-armed general known as Old Blizzards by his men, because he screams, "Give them blizzards, give them blizzards." No one knows why he says that, but that's what he says when he goes into battle, gets cut off from the rest of the Confederate army. And then he just kind of marches away from the battlefield to go try to link up with Joe Johnston and his army of relief at some point. But with Loring marching off of the battlefield, he doesn't communicate with his commanding officer, John Pemberton. Pemberton's in charge of the Army of Vicksburg here. Excuse me. He's in charge of trying to defend Vicksburg from these Federals coming in from the east. So now Pemberton is going to wait Loring's large division because he wants to keep his army intact as much as possible as he falls back in this direction towards Vicksburg. Well, he sets up a defensive line about a mile off to my right, and he is going to put up basically a cordon off the old bridge, which it's abutment you can see back here for the Southern Railroad that would lead you into Vicksburg. In fact, the same rail line that will lead you past the railroad redoubt ran right through here, so that's the old bridge abutment. So he leaves in behind John Bowen's division, Pemberton does. He's a Georgian. He's a very stout divisional commander. Unfortunately for Bowen, he will die at the end of this campaign. In fact, of dysentery. He will die in the middle of July of 1863. But he is going to be off in that direction, holding back the Federals, hopefully, with some support from some Tennessee troops under the command of General Vaughn. Well, in the meantime, General Grant on the Federal side is going to want to keep pushing towards Vicksburg. He has tasted victory time and again in this inland campaign, as our friend Tim Smith calls it. And as he starts to push towards this direction, he's going to unleash John McClernand's 13th Corps upon the works off to my right. And honestly, it's going to be a very quick battle. The Confederates are not in a great position. In fact, they're on a very level plain, even though they have fortifications, and they're pretty shaken from the battle that took place at Champion Hill, that disaster which we talked about in another video. So as the Federals start to charge towards the Confederates, many of the veterans will start to give way, and some of the men who are basically new conscripts into the army are also going to give way, and they're going to rush back towards the railroad bridge that was once back here. They'll also create a pontoon bridge, or a temporary bridge, out of a steamer that was down here on the river, and McClernand's men will clear the route out towards Vicksburg. And 2 days later, Grant's army is on the outskirts and attacking down the Graveyard Road and the Jackson roads, getting ready to go into and hopefully into Vicksburg. But that's for the future. With the Big Black River, you can actually come out here and visit this site. It's actually kind of a cool place to go see the old railroad abutments here. You can also check out our American Battlefield Trust Vicksburg campaign app. You can download that over at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. Learn more about it at battlefields.org, and it'll bring you down here to this site. You can see the modern bridge that's just behind the camera over here, which is a much more substantial bridge. This is the modern bridge over here. The original bridge stood just behind me. And the original earthworks, we are told, are on the other side of the river from where we're standing. We're on the Vicksburg side of the river. The Confederates and the Federals fought on that side, and they crossed in this general direction. We're told that the earthworks are over there. I haven't seen them for myself, but they're still supposed to be between here and Champion Hill. So if you ever get a chance to, if you're doing the Vicksburg campaign, check out our battle app and head down here to the battle Big Black River. It's not exactly what I would call a big river, but it's a pretty impressive river nonetheless. And that last large natural defensive barrier between Champion Hill and Vicksburg. And now John Pemberton's forces are moving back towards the city, and that's where we'll pick up our story in another video. I'm Kris White with the American Battlefield Trust. Chris McCaskey behind the camera. Thanks for watching, and thank you for supporting battlefield preservation and education.